Bringing the platen down so you can change the shaft seal, you simply go to hood height and bring it down to 0. As you do this, the platen's going to lower, and if you watch the shoulder bolts, you'll see if all of the weight is taken off. If all of the weight is taken off, then that's fine. If it's not, and your shoulder bolt still has this size gap, you can just put a little bit of cardboard under the platen, as we'll show you in the next clip, just to take the weight off, which makes it easier to remove the platen arm. With the grill turned off now, what we're going to do is just raise the platen arm and just slide a bit of cardboard in the middle point of the grill plate towards the back if needed, lower it down, and as you lower it, you'll see we remove the weight from here. So we're a little bit far forward, so we're just going to move that cardboard further back. As we move it further back, you'll see the rear now takes the weight, which means these bolts, they're not held in with any force, so they should now be easy to remove. Accessing the shoulder bolts, we're going to undo this bolt and undo this bolt, depending on the version. If you have the arm with a high definition or high density aluminium cast, you'll need to unscrew these from the pin. If you have the early version, you'll just need to loosen these by about 4 turns. Once the bolts are undone or loosened, these pins will just come forwards and come out. Because there's no weight on them, you can see this is already coming forwards. If you need to, use a small screwdriver to help push it forwards. As there's no weight on it, you can see how easy this pin is to pull out. If needed, you can use a small screwdriver just to reach in and pull it. If not, it'll pull out and the platen will drop whilst resting on the cardboard. Now what we need to do is remove the 2 Teflon bushes, which will be in the PM kit, just from the back there. If you don't remove those, they tend to fly all over the floor. Then we need to lift the platen up off of the knuckle and expose the other 3/4 inch bolts. The next step is to remove this front stainless steel wear pad. You'll need 2 Allen keys and undo these. So loosen these off, and when you remove both of the screws, you'll then expose 1 large 1/4 inch set screw. Behind this pad you may find now the wear pad's removed, you can now see the large set screw opening. This will have a locking cap and then the set screw. These can be extremely tight, so you should use high quality Allen tools. This should be done up very tight. You'll find when removing it may take a lot of effort. On some they fitted them with Loctite on the early grills. If you have one of these, it means you'll have to fight with it all the way, but it will come. Again, if you're using cheap, low quality tools, you will end up rounding out your Allen key and you will damage the top. Once the locking cap is removed, you then have to do the set screw itself. Once this has been removed or loosened to almost all the way out, you'll see the knuckle now becomes loose and moves side to side. Now we need to remove the 3/4 inch bolts that hold on the cap. So these can all come off, they shouldn't be that tight, and that'll then expose the seals. Once you've removed the 3 bolts, you can then lift the seal cap. This cap should only be removed from the shaft from the top. Do not remove it from the bottom or you'll damage the seal. Lubricating the shaft is the next step before refitting all of the seals. To do this, we need to come to the rear of the grill and we have to remove the 2 cross member bolts here. Take this away and then access the pin behind. Once we've done that and loosened it and removed it, we can then pull the shaft out. With the last bolt removed, you can now see that the anti-rotate bar can be removed. This then exposes the pin that holds the shaft and the actuator together. Because the top has been disconnected, you can rotate this and gain full access and remove that pin. As the pin is now removed from the top, you can lift the shaft and that will come clean out of the tube. Right, now with the shaft removed, we'd have to clean any excess grease from inside the shaft and also from underneath by the actuator. Once we've cleaned that, we then need to replace it with fresh lubricant, as shown. Using the correct garland grill grease, the best way to do this is to put the grease onto a long instrument such as a screwdriver. And once you have a line of it, you then insert that into the lift tube. Once in the lift tube, you can then spread the grease around so you get the bearings at the top of the insert and also at the bottom. This ensures that you get a nice even spread and there's no spots missed. We would then take the shaft and put a small smear of grease on at the bottom. I'd rub that in so you take away and make the surface of the shaft look dull. This ensures that we have plenty of grease all the way around. As you insert the shaft tube, you should rotate it as you insert it to help spread the grease. So inserting the shaft, you can see the rotation. A lot of grease will collect at the top. If you get excess grease, you can take this from the top and you can insert that underneath. However, it's always wise to leave a small amount of grease there, which will then get trapped under the seal. We've now fitted the cap on loosely. We're just going to finish up by tightening those up. This should ensure that the seal fits into the cap nice and consistently and doesn't go at a strange angle, causing any gaps. You can now see the edge of the green seal is now protruding from the cap just slightly. This is now sealed in nice and tightly. With the shaft now back in place with the actuator, we can now refit the pin and then also the anti-rotate mechanism. The anti-rotate mechanism must be done up nice and tight. So before finally tightening everything up, it's important to ensure that the vertical bar here and the anti-rotate have at least a gap of a gapping tool. To check this, it's best is to put in the gapping tool, and with that in place is then to tighten the remaining two bolts. This ensures that you don't get any binding from the anti-rotate and the vertical guide bar. The bolts holding the anti-rotate should be done nice and tight. Now the rear of the grille is assembled, it's time to refit the carriage block. So we just slide it on top and then we have to do up the 1/4 inch set screw. This should be done all the way and it will hold the grille or the carriage block in place. This must be done up at 450 pounds of torque, or effectively a lot of oomph. Once the set screw is installed and tight, you then fit the locking cap. Locking cap, very much the same as the set screw, you need to put it in. Once in, you then have to do it up nice and tight. If you fail to do this up properly, the platen will sway left and right more than designed, and that will then cause interference with other platens or canopies. One shim will make about 1 thread difference at the front. It may be that you need to fit 2 or 3 shims to make the difference. If you don't have a shim, you can get around this by using aluminum foil cut around the top. We've now got to reinstall the platen arm onto the carriage block. For this we'll need the 2 pins, the new Teflon washers that came in the PM kit, and then some muscle. Okay. So we still have the cardboard in from earlier, which helps us to align the holes without having to lift and carry. So you can see the pins slotted in nice and easy. We have to fit the new Teflon washers onto the tilt section and then put in the pin. Once these are in place, you just need to finish off by tightening up the set screw at the back and the set screw for the main pin. Once everything is reassembled and the platen clear of all old debris and tools, we can reset the power and turn it on.